Online. This is the cyberspace plague version of the popular Manchester Comedy Club XS Malarkey that's been running for 23 years and has one simple philosophy, which is to charge as little as possible and get the best acts that we possibly can at the same time. Unfortunately, lots of lovely acts have come to entertain you, even though we don't have a building from which to entertain you. Well, we've got several buildings from which to entertain you. They're all the buildings that we're housed in. And now, normally I would sort of do quite a long bit at the top, but I felt the show last week was plenty long enough, so I won't do a massive preamble. I'm Toby, by the way. Hello. I'm the bicardigan glue that holds the show together. And what I will be doing for the purposes of this is that I'll introduce the acts as I would at XS Malarkey, and they will do their thing. And then afterwards, I'll chat to them, and we'll get to find out. We'll get to delve beneath the surface and essentially ruin the magic. And we hope you could stay with us. The things I have to ask you are to do some form of PayPal thing. We split the money and it goes to the acts. And you can chat, but you probably know more about that than I do. And I would really like to point out that I've tried all sorts to stop this kink in this shirt. I think it got bent once, and it's irreparably damaged, and it's rather becrumpled, and I'm sorry about that. And it's going to put me off all night, and hopefully now it's an eye worm for you. So we have a terrific lineup this evening. All acts that have played XS Malarkey before, who hopefully like us and are therefore here for your entertainment. I'm going to be taking questions as well, because normally I wouldn't be heckled. It's not that kind of a club. So if you're a stag do looking for somewhere to go, don't. But you wouldn't be allowed to anyway. I'm sorry if you're getting married and if this is your stag do, I'm so sorry. So you can send your questions in somehow. I think that's on the chat, and those will come to me, and I'll treat them like heckles and respond. Let's get on with it. So what we normally do at the beginning is, after I've weaved comedy gold from the front row, usually the second row, because the front row is largely the same people, is we split the teams, and we split the teams right down the middle, left to right. And Jonathan, who sits at the front, always in the middle, who is the lodestone of the comedy club, is a much prized audience member. The comedian that catches him wins. He always chooses the names, and I was doing my marvelous Jonathan impression up to the point that he decided to join in, even through the medium of cyberspace. So he has decided, and he has Lego versions of the team names tonight, which aren't very clear, but we'll put those on one of our things that we have in cyberspace. So the team on the left, as nominated by Jonathan, and you must decide at home whether you're left or right. I'm going to ask you to give a round of applause and do all of that sort of stuff, so that we can at least pretend we are civilized. Look, I'm still wearing a tie. I'm nude beneath, but tonight's team on the left are the Triffids. So I think they're the green logo. You can't see that. So on a count of three, if you're a Triffid, now you've got to decide. You see, you don't know what the other team are. So are you going to go for Triffid and then potentially miss out on being potentially cooler thing on the right? I know the decisions we have to make as civilization slips through our fingers. So on a count of three, Triffids, 1, 2, 3, make some noise. And then on the right, versus the Triffids, are the vampires. See, it could have been vampires. I think I'd rather be a Triffid, because they can come out day and night. I'm aware there are some vampire legends where vampires come out. Let's not complicate it. So on a count of three, vampires, make some noise. Hooray! Good. And now we're going to do that thing where we all join together to welcome on stage. Basically, we've got 5 acts tonight. We don't know what the acts are going to do. They're going to respond to this way of doing things, which is not usual, which is why I still don't quite know where to look. I've sort of got my eye on Rolls, who's up there where I am. So she keeps me in order. And so our first act, where I am, he's down there, and I'm going to welcome him. And his backdrop is exactly the same colour as my bedroom used to be. I wonder if he lives where I used to. I don't know. This and other secrets will be given now as we welcome on stage Triffids and Vampires. Please join together as we welcome on to cyberspace the first act of Excess Malarkey Online tonight. It's the one and only Mr. Andrew O'Neill. Yay!
I bought a bus and I painted it black, and now the bus gets hot in the summer. Hot bus, why did you paint the bus black? Hot bus, I just had a lot of black paint. Hot bus, have you come to regret that decision? Hot bus, yes, particularly when it's sunny. Oh yeah, the cry goes up. Dog sharpener! The wizened old man with his whizzing, spurring, sputtering machine. Dog sharpener! Do you do cats? Sorry, love, only dogs. Dog sharpener! Oh, go on, you could do a cat. Sorry, love, it's more than my job's worth. I'll get kicked out the guild. Dog sharpener! Here we go, mate. How much for a terrier? Which end? Oh, both ends. £5. All right, then. Dog sharpener. If you could do a little terrier, you could do a cat. Listen, love, I've got a queue, right? I've been in trouble with a guild before. Just leave me alone. Dog sharpener. And then the noise. Grinding, whirring, sputtering, and tiny yelps. Dog sharpener. Here you go, mate. Mine drowns on it. It's sharp. Now, there are a lot of questions raised by this scenario. The first question is, do the dogs enjoy it? To which the answer is no, they die. So you may have noticed that my 10-year-old niece Lyra is at the gig, essentially sort of semi-heckling. Now, so I'm going to do two songs. First is a song about how the internet makes everything about image, and some things are a little bit more important than image. And somewhere there's a plectrum. Lyra, do you know where my plectrums are? Oh, there we go. Okay.
I've only used them and I gave them back.
You did give them back to me. All right. So now the advantage I have here is I'm at home and I can use my looper. And the advantage of using my looper is I can loop a piece of material and then look up the words on my phone while not having to play. Amazing. So here we go. The song is called Instagram Witch. It may well go wrong. She never says Christmas, she says Yule. She buys all her clothes from Etsy, because the high street isn't cool. She always abides by the Wiccan threefold rule. She's an Instagram witch. She always posts her tarot spreads and freely offers tips. She's never wondered why Hippocrates has his fingers on his lips. She's an Instagram witch. She says she's equipped, you know she's not lying. She's got more fucking crystals than Richard O'Brien. Now, here's the thing. I'm aware this song is gendered. Please don't slip my gizzards. I promise I'll write a follow-up about fucking Reddit wizards. I'm not saying she's an idiot. I'm not calling her a twat. There's just a lot more to witchcraft than a 90s gothic hat. Posting pictures of your altar just makes you look daft. Less like the vitch, more like the craft. Now, don't get me wrong, I really love Veruza. I often have dreams where she walks into my boozer. I buy her a drink, we talk about magic. Sorry, I seem to be drifting off topic. Loads of people dabble and don't know their stuff. That's okay, of course. There's no need to get tough. When it comes to ritual practice, I myself am still just a beginner. But even I know occultism doesn't make you a winner. In a society where everyone throws the sign of the devil, practicing a bit of magic doesn't make you fucking special. Life is hard. We all need some help to get through it. But the real secret of magic is any cunt can do it. So there we go. That was an experiment. Now, the final thing I'm going to do, firstly, say hello to Lyra, everybody. Now, if anyone's donating to anything, please do, because Lyra hasn't had any shoes for 6 months.
Yeah. I haven't had any for summer shoes. I don't have any sandals.
Tell them that, while I do my guitar, tell them how you haven't got any proper summer shoes.
I've only got trainers that I can wear.
Yeah.
And everything else doesn't fit my feet.
Everything else doesn't fit your feet, right? So we need money, don't we, Lyra?
Yeah.
So people need to buy.
Because the boots I've got are too warm.
Yes.
I need sandals.
Right, now go away.
Oh.
So.
I'm still here.
So.
I'm still here.
Right, so this is a song I've just written, and again, I'm going to use the looper to do the tough bits. This is something. It's kind of linked to the other one because it's about how my magical practice leads to me believing all sorts of strange things, but there are some things it doesn't allow me to believe in or doesn't make me believe in. Right, so this might be a little bit loud. I practice ritual magic. I worship pagan gods. I believe my minds can affect the world and I'm drawn towards the odd. I've used a scrying stone and LSD to find spirits that dwell inside us, but still I don't believe 5G has caused coronavirus. I might agree they're lying to us if we just define who's they. It's no surprise you also believe vaccines make you gay. I believe in chance, I believe in Kabbalah, I believe in Billy Ray Cyrus, but you've yet to convince me 5G has caused coronavirus. Final verse, here we go. I've invoked really scary things that claim to come from hell, but I struggle to trust your research when you can't fucking spell. It's stated Russian policy to spread disinformation. Your evidence is glaringly lacking in citation. And the final line. I believe in the power of rituals written on ancient papyrus, but I still don't believe 5G has caused coronavirus. Thank you very much. I apologise if some of that was really shouty and some of it was very quiet, but that is my contribution.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Well, we're now on the television together.
Hello, mate.
So hello, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks. It's really weird not gigging, isn't it?
It's really strange not gigging. Well, we are gigging now, but we're gigging. In a very strange spell in our home, doing the unusual thing of gigging from home. It's nice to see you.
Hi, and lovely to see you. We would have been in a room together today, wouldn't we, if it hadn't been for 5G?
Yeah, but that's okay. We're improvising. In an A-team kind of way rather than a Tony Slattery kind of way. You know, so
that's right.
make you do equipment tries rather than riffing on suggestions.
Yeah.
But it's sort of nice. What we can't do when we're on stage, I think, is sort of answer any nagging questions the audience may have about about you and your comedy. So I think this is
That's right.
Yeah. So how long do you think it took you to find your voice? Because you're an odd mix, aren't you? I don't think there's anybody else who now, and I might have got it wrong because when I was plugging this, and I don't know the terminology, Andrew, because I was plugging Daddy. I said, I mean, the transvestite bit I was fine with. It was I said goth and I said thrash metal, and Roz looked very crossly at me, both of these. And I said, he says transvestite. And she said, I wasn't telling you off about that bit. She was telling me off about goth and thrash metal. So
I love thrash metal. I'm not much of a goth, although I'm wearing my Cure t-shirt today. I'm basically like, that sort of like, there are things throughout your youth that you kind of hold off on, like the wearing of V-neck jumpers, the sort of thing that when you're sort of, the things that kind of become inevitable. And I think my gothness was always creeping up on me. And I mean, transvestite, yes, for sure. Thrash metal is up there with my favorite types of extreme metal. But in terms of how long it took me to get to do, I mean, what I just did was even more of a strange mix than usual. But in terms of I reckon it probably took me 10 years to begin to work out how to do different types of comedy in one set and switch between them and make the whole thing work with any kind of pace or any kind of consistency. Because quite often those gear changes when I first started were clunky. Because when I just started doing stand-up, I really, really loved all comedy, from Monty Python to Freddie Starr, Bobby Davro, and Harry Enfield and Monty Python, and all of it. And so when I started doing stand-up, I couldn't decide what sort of comic I wanted to be. I didn't know. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to do Bill Bailey and Bill Hicks, and so I just wrote loads of different jokes and loads of different styles and did them all in the order that seemed sort of appropriate. And that's kind of, bit by bit, I think the influence dropped away. But it's all about, for me, it's about doing beautiful gigs like yours where the audience, you kind of trust them that much more. And I love that. And then the other pole that I also really love is doing the big weekend clubs, and they laugh, but they laugh while saying "what the fuck" out loud. And that's really, because your audience are like, the sort of comedy we like, and but these other people are going, I didn't know I liked that sort of comedy, and that's really nice. That's the thing that took me years and years to be reliable and punchy enough and confident enough to make the people who aren't comedy fans go, yeah, we can follow this.
Do you ever halfway through a set though? Because for those people that haven't seen you live, you're very politically astute, and you're very committed to being outspoken about injustice, and you also improvise stupid songs about crabs and put on ridiculous voices. So you're hard to sort of define in that sense. So do you ever halfway through a set go, well, they seem to be going for the political stuff, and they're less sure about when I put on a daft voice and do a song, I will do less of that one?
Yeah, I definitely do. And that's sort of people who I really, really admire are the 100% commitment people like Paul Foot, who, and Josie, Josie's absolutely committed to finding her absolute voice, whereas mine is so many different voices that I can push down on that one a little and pull up on that, almost like kind of DJing to sort of go, right, there's nothing I've written really that I don't like. There's nothing that's in my box of jokes that I'm, so it never feels sort of I'm not sort of doing stuff about how rubbish my wife is because she's my favorite human. That's how that works. And but that sometimes, but with the thing is that the tougher the gig, the more feminine I dress, the more almost aggressively feminine I dress. Partly because with that's something for them to hang my weird on. Because if I turn up wearing a death metal t-shirt and a bullet belt, they're kind of like, we don't really understand this, and they can't find a hook. If I go on wearing a dress and heels, they're like, oh, he's weird in that way. All right, well that's fine. And then they get that bit out of the way, and people like I've over the years been told by people like Tony Law, Milton Jones. Milton Jones used to have a thing where the straighter the audience, the bigger he'd make his hair. And so they kind of knew it's that clown that we know. And Tony Law told me years ago, and I've absolutely taken this on board. The more straight they are, the more you have to commit to the weird, so that you kind of punch through. And it's just that, like, it's like, not showing fear and kind of showing that is we're going to be doing weird stuff, so you might as well deal with it.
Funny, that's funny because I had a similar thing with being middle class. Is that I used to play big gigs, like when I do the Frog and Bucket at a weekend, I'd sort of drop my voice a bit and try and be a bit, oh yeah, fuck you. But the minute I actually turned up like this and went, oh hello, it kind of stopped them having a go at me for the things they assumed about me, because I sort of said, well, I'm embracing those things. What else have you got? And it's actually disarming to sort of claim it even more.
I've just had 16 weeks of psychotherapy, and one of the things we decided that I absolutely do is and it's slightly, I mean, read as much as you want into this, but grab all the things that people might have a problem with and aggressively thrust them out into the world. And go, look, this is me. And if I walk on stage wearing a dress and makeup and point to a bloke in the front row, alpha male in the front row, and go, what the fuck are you wearing? Which is my club opener. That immediately goes, and unfortunately, the nature of people, 1 in 10 gigs, the bloke will go, what are you wearing? And I have to explain that is the point I'm making.
That's the joke, yeah.
But yeah, if you go on stage and you go, we're about the same, aren't we? They go, no, I mean, no, and because you are not the same as anyone, and if you can really own that, and if you can really, then they can't go, you're a thing, because you've already said it.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, what are you? What can the viewers who might like to seek out other examples of your work? What is out there online, or what are you up to during the coronavirus to bring your comedy to the people?
I'm now doing. I've embraced Patreon. So for as little as £1 a month, people can support me. And I'm doing readings of. I've just done a 3-part reading of H.P. Lovecraft's Call of Cthulhu. And make all sorts of videos and bits and pieces like that. But also, if you look at any of the social media, if you put in Andrew O'Neill Comedy, YouTube, I'm putting stuff up all the time. But Patreon is, if anyone wants to buy Lyra's shoes, Patreon is where it goes. She has got shoes, by the way. Patreon is the place. But yeah, YouTube's a good place to start if people are interested in things.
Great. Well, look, so you were due at Excess actually on stage tonight. You were our booked headliner tonight. So sorry not to see you in the flesh, but let's reconvene when we've got boards to tread.
Yes, please.
I don't know if we're going to see you later at the end of the show when we say goodbye. I don't know if you're hanging around, but
I'm going to hang around. Yeah.
But now, everybody, please give a big round of applause to Mr. Andrew O'Neill. Hey.
Thanks very much for having me.
You're welcome. I wonder if anybody is doing the things at home that I asked them to do. Who knows? But I have a question, because I can't see anything else that's happening on the screen. But fortunately, I'm being heckled from Cyberspace. What happened to your hair? Says Roller Coaster David. I don't know how people come up with their names. Of all the things in your life, David, you've decided that roller coaster needs to be. Now, if you work on the roller coasters, I'll accept that. If you are the love child of a roller coaster and I don't know, a flume, I'll accept that. But anyway, roller coaster. My hair. I was gonna, because there were suggestions during one of these shows that I sort of embody the descent of civilization by emerging at the end of the coronavirus like Tom Hanks at the end of Castaway. But I got annoyed with it, and I'm not. I either have hair that's gone too far or no hair at all, and I've gone for no hair at all. And unfortunately, I dropped a rake on my head earlier, and if I'd got long hair, I'd be able to hide my wounds. But look at that. That's another another victim of these dreadful times we live in. So that's what happened to my hair roller coaster, David. What happened to yours? It's probably standing on end because of all the roller coasting that you do. Right. We have another act now who hasn't played in excess for a while, but now I think is going to win a new competition I've just started called Backdrop of the Night. I've got House Envy looking at this next act's gorgeous abode. So please make a very, very welcome. Triffids and vampires combined together in vegetational bloodlust to welcome onto the stage, beaming into your homes via Excess Malarkey. It's only Sophie Duker!
Sophie Duker! Pew, 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 pew. Hello, everybody. I am Sophie Duker, and that gunshot thing I just did was something I thought sounded cool in my head, and I will never do again. I'm so excited to be here. I'm doing some stand-up comedy for you. That's the brief. But I'm actually kneeling. I'm going to show you. Oh, God. Oh, I'm on my knees. I'm on my knees doing comedy. It's very Fleabag. It's weird. It's like I'm giving you a blowjob of comedy. So this is quite. I calculated today, and I think it's been 30 days, like a full month, since I did a straight stand-up gig. And by a straight stand-up gig, I obviously don't mean a heterosexual stand-up gig, because obviously I've never really done that. Because it's the future, isn't it? Nobody's straight, like no one's. I know some of you in the comments probably now think you are straight, but trust me, you are the least likely to actually be straight. I mean, it's 2020, everyone's either snogged a pal of the same gender, or thought about snogging a pal of the same gender, or accidentally ordered a gelato. Nobody's straight. I think straight people are dying out, which is sad. It's like they're like pandas. Very picky about what they eat. It's like bamboo, pussy, no deviations. Very picky about what they eat, straight people, and also they hardly ever fuck. So it's hard for them. I do have a straight friend though. I know after what I've just said, some of you will be skeptical about my straight friend, but I do have a straight friend. She's amazing. I'm learning so much from her. And if you are suspicious about it, I promise you she is a classic straight person. She does all the straight person things. She lives in Clapham. If you live regionally, Clapham is like Norwich, the straight bit. She voted Remain. Classic straight person shit. She's always eating yogurt and laughing like Dan on. She loves it. But yeah, this is a bit of a weird format for me, this unprecedented format, because comedians aren't on all the time. I don't know if you know this, but we're not on all the time. Comedians are just like you, except with more money and trauma. And we can't always just jump straight in to doing comedy. Like sometimes we might have had a tiring day, or an argument with our partner, or be living in an unprecedented pandemic. So we need these little rituals to get us into what we do on stage. I'm going to do a bit of that before I get into my material with you. And loads of comics do it differently. Some comics will do power poses before they go on. Some comics will do power poses. Some comics will masturbate in front of their colleagues without their consent before they go on. What I like to do before I go on is recite and then deconstruct the lyrics to the opening rap of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So let's do that now. Now, this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down. So if you'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel-Air. In West Philadelphia, born and raised in the playground was where I spent most of my days, chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool. Okay, so maxing's not a word. I don't think we afford other Black artists the same liberties that we do Mr. William Smith. If I was doing a rap and I said, oh, I was with Terry Gilliam, popping up a William, you'd be like, what's a William? It doesn't make sense. Anyway, playing some b-ball outside of the school when a couple of guys, they were up to no good, started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in one little fight and my mom got scared. She said, "You're moving with your auntie and Uncle Billy." What's upsetting about this bit is that I feel like Will glosses over what's actually quite significant childhood trauma. If he is to be believed, if this is happening as Will actually said it did, if he got one little fight and his mum was like, "Yeah, I'm done, get out," that's quite an overreaction. Like it's something that you would unpack over like some ballads, maybe a whole album, but he does it just in the next 2 lines and it's quite disturbing. He says, "I begged and pleaded with her day after day. She packed my suitcase and sent me on my way." He begged. He pleaded. He had no choice in the matter. She packed his suitcase for him. He was trafficked. So anyway, at this point, I'd hear the MC go, "Welcome to the stage, Sophie Duker!" And then I'd come on stage and everyone would go, because there were loads of you on the internet, I'm making the stadium sound. I've never actually played a stadium, but I've gathered from popular culture that instead of clapping, they just go, like you're spicy. So I'd introduce myself at this point. I'd be like, "Hello, everybody. Hello, my name is Sophie Duker. I'm what is known in the biz as a triple threat minority. I call myself a triple threat minority because I make white people uncomfortable when I sing, act, or dance, but also because I deviate from the norm in 3 very specific ways. So firstly, I'm a woman. Thank you, fans of women. I identify as a woman, specifically a cis woman. My pronouns are she, her, and that bitch. I'm also a person of colour. Please shout out or type what colour you think I am. Great. So I am brown is the correct answer, or black. I will answer to both. The reason I mention it is because I find that some people find it quite hard to name difference. I asked a guy in Camberley recently, I was like, "Sir, what sort of colour would you say I am?" And he sort of went, "Oh, beautiful." And the last way in which I deviate from the norm is that I am bendy, by which I mean not straight. I've only started telling people in comedy gigs I'm not completely straight about 2 years ago. And when I first decided to come out on stage, like in a gay way, I thought it would be big news. Like I thought it would be as exciting for the audience to hear as it was for me to say it. I thought I was maturing the secret like a fine wine. And when I finally spilled the tea/wine, the audience would sup it up eagerly with their mouths. But I realized I held onto the secret for too long. I'm too old. The secret's caught. It's 2020. And if in 2020 you perform in front of a group of people and say that you're not completely straight, it's like telling them that you're right-handed or a mammal. People are like, "What else?" So very upsetting. I don't know what you're doing right now. I can't see any of you. I don't know if any of you are quarantining with your families. I'm not, suckers. And the reason I'm not quarantining with my family is because I learned my lesson. Because last year, for about 8 months, I, an adult female, through no fault of my own, was living with my mother. That won't spark dread in some of you, and I assume those of you who have good relationships with your mothers were born by your mothers in the normal way. We all know the normal way, right? Your mum gets pregnant, she walks around for 9 months getting bigger and angry, and then she goes to a quiet corner and lays you like an egg. I was not born in that way. I was a cesarean baby, which means that I was untimely ripped from my mother's womb before I was ready, before I was willing. And ever since then, I think that my mother has had a problem with boundaries. So my mum lives in like a little flat. It's a 2-bedroom flat, her bedroom and the spare bedroom. And there's like a wall, a single bed, little corridor for stuff, and then another wall. And my mother treats this single room like her womb, in that she thinks she can come in and out at any time. I've told her that I'm an adult now, I need my own space, but I think this has changed something fundamental in my mother's brain chemistry, because she started doing a very weird thing when she wants me. Wherever she is in the flat, she's sitting in the living room, she sort of gets up, walks over to my room, pushes through the doorway, walks into the center of the room, spreads her arms wide and goes, "Knock, knock!" She doesn't make a sound before she enters the room. She makes no noise as she comes up to the door. She just walks into the room and goes, knock, knock, which makes for very tense wanks. Am I done? Oh, okay. I'll tell you one last little bit before I go. I think I should unpack slightly more of my trauma before I go. So I will tell you about an Uber I took recently. I assume that you guys all know Uber. It's very popular. It's popular because it's cheap, and it's cheap because it's essentially an unsafe taxi service. And when you order an Uber from the little genie in your phone, you get 3 sort of verifications, don't you, to make you feel better about the identity of your potential killer. So you get 3 things. You get a name, a face, and a star rating. And when I got my last Uber around October last year, 2 out of these 3 things was fine. My star rating was high, my face was friendly, but it was the name that slightly harrowed me, because when I got my last Uber, Halloween last year, my Uber driver's name was Daddy. And I know what you're thinking. We live in multicultural London. It could be an abbreviation. It could be a different spelling. No, it was very much ready salted Daddy. Daddy, original glazed Daddy. I looked at my phone. All that I knew is there was a black man called Daddy, and he was coming for me. And that throws up a lot of complicated emotions for a girl from a single parent family, because on the one hand, Daddy is coming in 6 minutes. Great. On the other hand, 6 minutes is not enough time to prepare everything that I have to say. And then the stakes get higher. It's like, Daddy will wait for 2 minutes before driving off. And I'm like, no, Daddy, not again, no! I'd like to tell you at the end of this that it had a happy ending. I got into Daddy's car and he gave me sweets, because sometimes they have them. Uber drivers, not fathers. But I can't tell you that. It's just malarkey, because Uber driver Daddy turned out to be just as unreliable as my actual papa. He couldn't find my pickup point. He was just spinning on the map like a lazy Susan. And so I had to do the unthinkable, which was cancel on Daddy. Put my finger over the button. I said, I'm a big girl now, I can do this. My finger hovered over the button, and then I pressed the button. And when I pressed the button, I saw possibly the most sinister sentence in the English language, which is £6 for Daddy's time. Thank you, I've been Sophie Duker. Hello? Hello? Goodbye.
Sophie.
Hey!
Hey, that was great. How was it performing to an audience of none?
Oh, I absolutely hated it. I know it was fun, but it's really weird. Like, before the gig, you asked me if I wanted to hear the sound of like your laughs and Roz's laughs, and I was like, no, let's not have more laughs than is usual. But it's weird. It's weird. It's nice. It's nice to imagine people listening to it, which they are. They demonstrably are.
Oh, well, I thought you pitched it brilliant, because when we've been doing this a few weeks now, when I first did it, I really didn't know sort of how to strike the balance between a live, mimicking a live performance and doing a piece of stand-up, to a camera. But I thought you pitched that perfectly. Had you practiced?
I did practice today, but I was really scared because it's really hard being on my knees that long. I'm not good at blowjob. And also, this lineup is insane. I was just like, it's just weird, because I think obviously people, like, you've got your material and stuff, but you just don't know if it works to a box.
Yeah, well, it does. It's great. Also, I have to say, I'm sorry, when you panned down and showed yourself things, I even got floorboard envy. Where are is this your place you're at?
No, I don't own anything. I'm like, I need for rent. I arrived in the 90s and I don't have that much disposable income. No, this is a place in, like, I used to live in Dalston, which is like a part of East London, which is very gentrified, but in a house that was falling apart. And then I moved up the road slightly towards Stoke Newington, which is more bougie, and I pay a lot of rent. But I'm also like, it's also very, very cheap for the area. Everywhere's made of wood. It's very cold. And I grow avocado plants from seeds, and put my chest of drawers is broken, which is why my towel's on it. It's luxury, baby.
we know where to go for avocados when civilization finally abandons us.
Thank you.
And how's comedy-wise? What drew you to become a stand-up? How did that happen?
Oh yes. As I mentioned, I think during my set, I did improvised comedy, which is a dangerous drug. and I wouldn't advise that young people get into it, but it's what I did. I did some improvised comedy, but like, I don't know, I never thought I wanted to be a stand-up because I was so scared of doing it. I was like, and even in my improv group, there was like, it was very like a very trad uni and lots of like very posh white men being very clever. And I was like, I can be clever and be people who I'm not, but I was scared about being myself on stage, and being alone on stage was terrifying to me. And then it's hard to keep the band together, and it's even harder to keep an improv troupe together after university because people think, what is the point? So I realized the only way that I could get on stage was to get on stage by myself, and that's how I started doing stand-up, I think.
And what are you doing anything bespoke during this lockdown period?
Yes, I've lost my mind and I haven't asked my agent, and I've started running nude seminars. Nudes seminars. Seminars on how to send nudes, naked pictures of yourself on Instagram.
Right.
Oh, did your last
take
go?
this apart and explain it to me from the very beginning.
Okay. So what the kids like to do is send naked pictures of themselves to other people. And I think it's a thing that's been shrouded in a lot of shame and darkness because the internet's a big scary place that can be shared with anyone. But then, for some reason, partly to raise awareness of this charity, Lesbians and Gays Support the Migrants, which is doing stuff for really vulnerable people during COVID, I spoke to Olga and I was like, would you please be a guest lecturer, Olga Koch, who's been on the show before, a guest lecturer on my seminar of how to send nudes. And so I've got loads of comedians talking about how to take and send naked pictures of themselves on Instagram. Sophie Hagen's doing the next one. It's a lovely time. I feel like this has gone. I feel like I've really taken you aback. I want to take you a front. I mean, I don't know.
I'm always open to new things. I just new things and nude things. I mean, a cardigan can only hide so many sins. I just didn't know any of those things. I've got a tenuous grasp of Instagram, but the rest of it I didn't know existed. So there we are.
Yeah, it's kind of like this. You just talk. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I've talked about the history of nudes. I talk about the angles you can take. I'm very bad at sending nudes,
right.
But that's why I wanted to help like-minded people.
Now, how do you find out you're bad at sending nudes? Do you critique yourself, or do you just get lots of people sending better? Well, the angle on that was awful.
Okay, so I got sent nudes. I was out of the game for a long time, and then I got my first nude from like a Gen Z, and I was like, how many people were involved in this? Like, they've got like crazy lighting. It looks like a whole team has put together like a mood board and like vision, and like it's crazy. And I'm like, my camera makes any picture of me look like a cave painting. I don't know what to do with my face. So it's kind of hard to take like an alluring naked picture.
Right. Yes, I was starting to say, and the Gen Z is what's one of.
I'm a millennial. I know
right.
I've got a hat, but I'm just a millennial. Like many of you.
What am I then?
Are you a Gen? You're not a boomer, are you?
I've got no idea. I'm just
what generation you are?
Sorry?
You don't know what generation you are?
Well, no, I'm just no.
Who would be ashamed of you?
Mid to late Tom Baker.
Mid to late Tom Baker. I don't know if you're. I'm honestly, I haven't learned the rest of the generation alphabet. I think you were either Gen X, a boomer, or miscellaneous.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to retain an air of mystery.
Yeah, actually, you can be a YouTube, a TikTok star.
I'll be one of them. Absolutely. That's what I'm going to aim for. I'm going to aim to be a TikTok star. Well, Sophie, for saying a number of words I'd never heard before.
Lizzo.
I think this virus has come to get rid of the likes of me, hasn't it? I think the world is cleansing itself of anyway, there we are. I'm well, good. I've learned I've heard lots of new words. I wouldn't say I've learned them. I hope the nudes thing goes very well.
Thank you. It's on Instagram. People can follow me there. It's 6 p.m. on Saturday.
Right.
What else would you be doing? The next one on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I feel I have to not look enthusiastic, lest people then make a judgment about me. I say, oh, nudes at 6, I'll be there.
I mean, if you look bomb in a thong, Toby.
No, I did. I'm sure I do.
Yeah. That's the underwear, not the sandal. But yeah,
I've actually got that on my spotlight page. Bomb in a thong. So that's going to be the title of my autobiography. Well, I hope you're sticking around, Sophie. I thought that set you did was terrific. And thank you for coming and joining us, and for
thank you for having
getting on
me.
your knees for excess malarkey. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Sophie Duker. Yay! I've had another heckle from he won't shut up. Bless him. Roller Coaster David, who's being very sweet. He says my new style suits me. It's just a haircut. And his name, Roller Coaster David, which I mocked, actually I was mocking too soon, comes from his passion for riding roller coasters, as he's ridden over 900 different ones around the world so far. I think you're allowed to be called Roller Coaster David if you've ridden 900 roller coasters. I'm on various forums and chat rooms and things, and I go under such aliases as Toby H, or Toby Hadoke, which I think shows about me that I have precisely no imagination whatsoever. Peach Penumbra, I don't even, just says I feel like I'm in a wholesome speakeasy. It's in reference to Jay at the top playing the piano. We had our cult themes played by Jay at the top of the show to give us a sort of speakeasy, good word, speakeasy vibe for the opening of Excess Malarkey. Thanks, Jay. And can we also say, I don't want us to seem like a sort of cliquey comedy club because we have people I'm referring to who come all the time. You will be welcome if you come, but there are sort of some people who come and support us a lot of weeks, and we're very fond of them. And Rachel and Ian, who come every week, celebrated their 10th wedding anniversary this week. So I'd like to say congratulations to Rachel and Ian, because they're always very cheerful, and they're great supporters of the club. And 10 years is well, it's 10 years is a good thing. No, 10 if you marry somebody, 10 years. I mean, it's good. I'm not to be knocked, but at the same time, I would expect nothing less, frankly, unless it's one of mine. They always go. Anyway, let's not get into that. So I've lost my messages. We've done enough messages. Although lovely cake, although I would choose to spell lovely the traditional and correct way, lovely cake, says it's Peter Capaldi's birthday. Is there something in that? Well, only something in Peter Davison's birthday yesterday. So it's obviously 9 months ago was a time for conceiving any number of Doctor Who's. So if it's your birthday tomorrow, you might end up as one. The next act. Oh, right. I mean, shouldn't still be alive, really, considering what he's been up to. Yes, this is a question of that was a judgment of stamina, not morality or justice. A comedian who I'd not seen until he first did Excess Malarkey, and was an absolute revelation, and did precisely no material for about 40 minutes. And it was one of the funniest shows I'd seen in many times of going to live comedy. And so I'm a huge fan of our next act, and I'm going to welcome him onto cyberspace. Please stamp your feet, clap your hands, and give it up for the one and only Mr. John Robertson. Yay!
Oh, fuck! What is the point of life? Oh, g'day! Hello! Oh, Christ! G'day, folks! Like 90% of me actors jumping on you. Thank fuck I'm looking at the chat. I can see people typing out clap, which actually takes more effort than actually clapping. So, I feel it. I feel your love as, you slowly erode the tips of your fingers as you indicate. Yeah, one person just said he still doesn't need a microphone even when we're not in the room. Christ almighty. Is it a gig? Okay, what you got to understand, right, is through a combination of a bit of peroxide, some fine, rings and a leather jacket, when I'm in a live performance venue, I can look remarkably like maybe an uncle who's in a cover band. There's a sort of pseudo rock star vibe, but stuck behind a fucking desk, just a computer. Don't I just look like I'm in my natural habitat? Didn't you see me hack a lot of mainframes in the 90s? You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of very large men came to me in 80s action movies and went, okay, what's going on? We're in. Okay, in English, Einstein. Now, I got to say to you, I mean, normally like 90% of what I do is jump around and tell you how fucking lovely it is to be with you, because it is a fucking joy, because otherwise I would be a shut-in with high blood pressure and an absolutely phenomenal home masturbation habit. Like I masturbate like I fucking talk, okay? I want you to understand, okay?
Christ Stigmata was produced by me. Okay, I have holes in my own palms. When I want to give myself a bit of depth, 2 hands and write down. But understand this, fella, the one who just said Peter Stringfellow, right, I've got your name, I've got my own Twitch channel, I will come to your house, and you know what, I'll demonstrate it. Why the fuck not? See, what you got to understand, right, is I've moved to this country, and it's very upsetting to be heckled with insults from people you have to Google. And being told I looked like Peter Stringfellow was so fucking upsetting until I found out that he was an incredibly wealthy pimp. And then I was sort of like, I'll take it. That's fine. Because I am, to be fair, I am one of the various, honorary members of the High Forward Weird Hair Club, and that's fine. Okay. I'm one of those guys blessed with the ability to look like Hugo Weaving, but just from the nose up. All right. So hang on. Give us a second. Here you go. Yeah, Mr. Anderson, welcome back. We missed you. It's done. It's fun. I met Hugo Weaving, and he did not acknowledge me as his son, and that really sickens me. That bothers me. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's fine. The fact is that with foreheads this large, it's a miracle our mothers can walk. Now, I will say to you, with genuine love, down there in the chat, do say hello. Say your various things. Prove to me that you're alive, because so help me, is anyone still fucking alive at all? I thought I saw upon the stair a little man who wasn't there. He wasn't there. Social distancing. There you are. It's ruining everything. Ruining everything. Fuck it. Hang on. I'll do my normal version of that poem. I thought I saw upon the stair a little man who wasn't there. He wasn't there. There is no stair. Jesus Christ, dementia. Now, hello. I see that one person has just said hello, which is an unnecessary amount of whimsy. I don't care for it, for fuck's sake. Right? I'm not your friend. Now, look, I do. I love all of you. And the most amazing thing about it, right, for all of this, okay, is a huge amount of time in my act, okay, I've always crested physical danger, because let's face it, I am one shade off being hugely unctuous. You know what I mean? Like, get the fuck off me, right? Behind a computer, I'm finally able to do the thing that I stopped doing in my act, which is play the ukulele. Because you see, I found that since I moved to the United Kingdom, me jumping around and again, here is a live, oh God, he's going to sing. Oh, really? I'm not going to take that from somebody called Dankus Malfoy. What, you came up with an idea in 2017, did you? Well, fucking done. What a shame Count Dankula made the same joke. Do you have a dog that's also racist, cunt? There we go. Hello, folks. And this is one of those things. It's the gentle sound of the internet getting a bit hit. Now, understand the following, right? Okay. I used to bring this ukulele out at the end of sets, and I'll tell you something right now. After about 40 minutes of this, fucking Jesus, fucking fuck, right? The moment where, after you've done that for 40 minutes, right, you pull out a ukulele and go, hey, everybody, we're going to hear some music. That is the moment where they suddenly decide, no, I think we'll kill you. So the nicest thing is you can't stop me. So I'm just going to put it gently in the background, gentle sound of streaming stuff. And if anybody does have any issues that they want to see a little song about, that's fine. You feel entirely free to get involved. But we are in the midst of social isolation, and what a fucking unpleasant time it's been. I don't know how many of you have done that thing now where you go into the grocery store and you walk into an aisle and suddenly 2 other people get at either end of the aisle and you can no longer leave the aisle thanks to social distancing laws. And that's as close as I get to observational comedy. But the most enjoyable thing about it is that I've made that joke every single day to other people stuck in the fucking aisle, and they fucking love it. My God, if you have ever whimsically opened the door to a pharmacy while doing this, like I did today, stop what you're doing. You need to be there. I'm going to open the door. Now you're in, and have the other person continue on with the song. Oh, what's the difference between a ukulele and a banjo? A banjo takes longer to burn. No, more banjos have been played during lynchings. See, that's the difference, friend. There you go. Don't come to me confused, 8765. All right. You think you're the 8,765th person who's been fucking person? Why not? Wait, is this still a song? It was never a song, friend. Life is a song. Now, here you go. Here's one. Here's an old one of mine. Here's an old one. This song dates back to the early 2000s, and it's about my high school years. This song is called Used to Have a Trench Coat. Here you go. used to have a trench coat. It was black just like my soul. I looked as scary as you can look when you're 14 years old. Some people thought I was homeless. Some people thought I smoked pot. I thought it was cool that when I took it to school, people thought they were going to get... Right. There you go, folks. There you go. It's a cute little one. It's a cute little one. Now, one person there has just said Mumford and Sons meets Courtney Love. Now, make no mistake, if Mumford and Sons had met Courtney Love, she would have talked them out of producing any more albums merely by virtue of the fact they would have learnt to play the shotgun like a flute. Now, understand, friends. Okay. All right. I say this with love, you know, you're beautiful people. You're beautiful people. Some of you are. I mean, it's the internet now. Most of you are cats. Some of you are Russian bots getting ready to, you know, influence another election. Who knows how many of you are sitting just waiting to pour racism into this fucking thread. I say this with genuine fucking love. You know, I admire, and fuck it, you're internet people. Look, everybody, it's a fucking sheep. There you go. It's a Japanese dog. Fucking wet yourselves. Buy some used panties and go and play a fucking role-playing game. I say this with love. You beautiful people. It's so nice. So nice that you can all join us, although not join us. How little commitment did this gig fucking take? Did they pay? Did they pay to get in this? Did they pay? Oh, they did? Oh, thank fuck, because I'm not going to lie. I've got a lot of friends. I've got a lot of friends who are currently exposing their arseholes on OnlyFans, and they're making a fuckload more money than we are. We've been fools. Fools. If anything, we're performing in the venue that they're demonstrating. Hurricane Roz has just said, I'm not a robot. And I'll tell you, my friend, don't come to me with your subpar Philip K. Dick bullshit, okay? Do androids dream of electric sheep? I will tell you right now, Hurricane Roz, username Hurricane Roz, you want to prove to me you're not a robot? You do it the way we all fucking have to. You look at a recapture photo and tell me how many images of a crosswalk are in there. That's how you fucking know. That's how you know. It's not about humanity. It's not about empathy. It's about identifying things in a fucking picture. Now, one person, Valkyrie Blades 95. Now, I would just point out Valkyrie Blades 95. It's a little Nordic for my taste, just saying. As a bartender at a venue John's played, you should know he's super nice to staff and you should donate him money if you can afford it. I am lovely to staff. How are you, Valkyrie? Nice of you to... Oh, did you fall from Valhalla? Hey, I will just say, I am nice to staff. Patrons, however, I couldn't give less of a shit about. You fucking people coming in there, bothering those poor people. All they want to do is drink. But I understand. Oh, meanwhile, Bryony has said Blade Runner got it wrong. Okay, look, okay, we're in the middle of a fucking comedy gig. I don't have time to discuss the works of fucking Harrison Ford with you, but I will point out, yes, Blade Runner did get it wrong, because this is Blade Runner. You ready for the movie Blade Runner? I'll do Blade Runner for you. You ready for Blade Runner? Here's fucking Blade Runner. Hang on, director's cut. Hang on, no, first, original cinematic release. Here you go. I feel confused by what is going on. I have been told I should go kill some androids. I have killed them. Movie over. Great. There you go. That's a film. Here's the director's cut. What am I? There you go. 3 hours. 3 hours of that. Brilliant. Brilliant, isn't it? Christ almighty. You can see how Philip K. Dick died before it came out. And that has nothing to do with the quality of the film. It's to do with the fact you shouldn't take that much amphetamine and then write 15 novels. Right. Nearly about out of time. Anyone else got a suggestion for a song? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna do fucking Blade Runner 2019,000 billion as it was, which was a lot of fun. Because I don't know about you, but I loved that movie because I did two things during it. I did this. I went, hey, that's Dave Bautista from The Wrestling. Then I went, wow, I've never seen sepia in a film released after 1860. Right. Anyone else got anything? Anyone else got anything? Because we'll wrap up in a minute. The Americans had to have a voiceover. Yes, it's true. Holy Grail, lol. Really? Okay, that's the idea of the Holy Grail. The Muppets theme tune, please? Certainly, but with the wrong chords. Here you go. It's time to start the music. It's time to light the lights. We're all here right now for the Muppet Show tonight. It's time to put on makeup. It's time to do it right. We're gonna have ourselves the Muppet Show tonight. What did I make a WrestleMania weird ride? Asked awkward Leighton. You've lived up to your name by asking me a question during a song, yeah. Muppets over the rainbow, only if pigs can fly. Lighters in the air, we couldn't do this at the Real Excess Malarkey. Occupational health and safety means no naked flame. Here come some old guys and we know their names. Stadler and Waldorf. At least friend is here, says a user in the chat. How sad you've just used friend without an S at the end, indicating friend is the name you give to the only friend you have. Oh, you're the person who keeps saying Randy. You don't mean the puppet, you just mean how you feel. Social isolation is news to most of us except for you. Red Larry, yellow Larry, red Larry, yellow Larry. Oh. I want to understand, folks. Well, I'm not going to lie. What I was trying to say there was I want you to understand. But then, out of nowhere, oh, Dankus Malfoy, he's skipping mine because I was disparaging about musical comedy. No, I just didn't read it. But since you've got my attention, imagine having the wherewithal and yet at the same time the lack of bravery and balls and gall to say a little thing and think I didn't pay attention. There's a reason, friend, that your name I didn't mention. You are not special and you are not fun, and understand if I were nearby I always have a gun and I'd use that weapon on somebody I cared enough about. You, however, my friend, are just a name I didn't even call out. Something about the Muppets. Folks, you have been nothing but a beautiful group of people. Dankus Malfoy says, I'm sure I'm getting roasted, but my video keeps skipping. No, it's not the internet, mate. You are the one who's slow. Understand this. I love all of you. Who is Bo Burnham? He's a lot taller and he has a lot of money. Friends, thank you very much, all of you. God bless you. I did a 48-hour marathon stream a day before now, and it's a real shame to still be sleeping. And fuck me, I hope this was a dream. Every gig I've ever had at Xmas Malarkey was delightful, and thank you all very much. I hope to see you again sometime.
Yay! John Robertson. Hello, John.
Hey, Toby, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, good. I was just talking to a few of your friends. It was nice. They all came.
Yeah, you're having quite a row with some of them.
Oh no. It's quite funny. I did an online gig for a promoter who'll go nameless, and they messaged me afterwards to go, John, thanks to technical difficulties and your somewhat Marmite set, we didn't make a lot of money. And I was there like, you are not blaming me for losing your audience while I was on. And it turned out he was absolutely. And I then had to explain to him. It was really fun. He was like, no. Half of the messages I got that people were angry, and I was like, well, how many people did you have watching? And he goes, oh, we had 700. And I was like, okay. And how many people messaged? And he goes, oh, 20. I'm like, so 10 people didn't like me. Like,
and also you can't actually be somewhat Marmite. The whole thing about Marmite is it's one extreme or the other extreme. So you can't have the word somewhat in that sentence.
No, I know. Well, also, I mean, to be fair, listen to my accent. I mean, Marmite wasn't the word. If anything, I was like, oh, you fucking colonial pigs. I can't even have that. What's wrong with you? But it's not, yeah.
Yeah, well, one, I'm slightly disappointed. I'm slightly nonplussed by your very neutral background. I rather hoped, having only worked with you, in various comedy clubs and festivals, I rather hoped you lived in a dungeon full of electric guitars. But you have a decidedly grey backdrop.
Well, this is about as nice as the backdrop can get at this late stage. Let's put it this way: I've become so bored in the house that there was a mouse that I didn't try to kill for ages because, like, with a trap or anything, because it was easier just to hear it come through the wall and then chase it around the house for a while. You know what I mean? Like, Like I got the butcher's knife to do the old farmer's wife thing. And then what happened was I did put out a trap with a particularly nice bit of blue vein cheese. And then I came back to the house, having been away doing the 48-hour special, and discovered the stench of death in my house. The mouse hasn't gone near the cheese; it's just gone off. So the entire house is in a fucking state, right? So yeah, this is as good as it's going to get. I do live in a place that has a dungeon, but there's only one acoustic guitar. There's no need for electrical stuff, my friend.
Okay, good. And tell me about your comedy, John, because as I said, you came to
Yes, we didn't see any of it before, John. Can you explain?
No,
Yes.
well, I'm more explain the fact that you are at your most comfortable in the moment. When did you start off like most of us and go, well, I've got this stuff that I've remembered and this is what I'm going to do, and when did you realise, oh, to hell with that, I'm gonna take about on instinct and chutzpah.
Yeah, well, instinct and chutzpah is lovely. Thank you. That's the tag team I've always followed there in the idiosyncratic intellectual Jewish wrestling league. Great guys. Why they've just won the yes. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That was going nowhere. I came into stand up because there was a girl I wanted to impress, which is not a great way to begin. It was a very good way to lose her, to be fair. And I came in with the misconception that stand up was something you made up every night, because I hadn't seen enough of it, and because I believed Billy Connolly when he said that that's what he did. So that's what I did the first time, and it went well. But then I became just the most rigidly scripted. It was the worst. I was a theatre student, so I'm there getting up, being like, "Hi guys, okay, I'm just going to do some Brechtian shit with you," and it's just like they used to let open micers on at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday night, so you're there talking to 6 people who are like, "Mate, the only reason we're here is that when this is done, our meth dealer will be outside. And we're going to pick some stuff up," you know. And I ended up, I was too rigidly scripted for a long time until my wife, the woman who became my wife, just said to me one day, she's like, "Have you thought about having fun? You really hate being up there." And of course I did, because, in my mind, I was doing this monologue and it was being continually interrupted by things like people coughing and looking at their watches and gently wishing that a 17-year-old boy would stop screaming at them about death. So, you know, so yeah. But that's so that became a thing, and then I got into doing improv literally on a plane to Singapore in 2012. I figured that there was nothing I could say that was going to really hit a hugely international audience. So I thought, well, what's universal is fear. I'll just jump on them and I'll have some fun, and that'll be all right. And I'll tell you something. Out of 4 gigs, I was right about one of them. That guy never used me again. Never used me again.
And tell you, so the people watching this might not be aware, because if anybody watched you for 48 hours and then came back to watch you again, they must really love you. But you've alluded to the fact that you're off the back of a 48-hour show. So what the hell was that, and what were you thinking?
Well, that was my show, The Dark Room, which is, well, hang on, I won't bore you with it, but it's essentially just me doing the following. "You're awake to find yourself in a dark room," and then options appear on the screen behind me, and people pick the option that they want, and it's a live show that I do and have been doing for years. It started off as a YouTube thing, and I do it on Twitch every Friday. I do 5 nights a week 5 different shows a week on Twitch, doing different shit. But that show has been my trademark since 2012. It's been the thing that I do. It supports like 90% of my career. And a friend of mine, Mez, great bloke, was like, "Well, John, we were meant to see you over Easter, but obviously all the sci-fi conventions I do are cancelled." So it became, "Can you, maybe we'll just do a show over Easter." And then I was like, "Well, why just do a show? Why don't we'll do a 48-hour marathon of it, and it will raise money for NHS charities and for mine." And I did that. I did 48 hours because if it was anything less than 48 hours, it wouldn't be special. You know what I mean? Like, Mark Watson's the absolute king of the 24-hour, 27-hour absolute madman. And, there are streamers all the fucking time. They do. Oh, hey everybody! Like what's the game? There's some game about driving a bus badly, and people will marathon that as a team. That kind of thing for like 36 hours. And the point that I wanted to make was that NHS workers are, at the moment, some of them are on call for 36 hours, and they were doing 12-hour shifts before COVID-19. So what I wanted to do was show just the physical trauma that goes through just standing up and talking for 48 hours. And I had food, comfortable chairs, regular breaks. I was at a house. I wasn't washing down a bedpan. No one was dying. I didn't have to run anywhere. And I was absolutely buggered by the end of it. Like, I had a hernia that was operated on in 2018. It's back, like all that shit. I was in agony by the time it was done. And all I did was stand there and put on a stupid voice that I can do for hours. So I don't know. We raised 25 grand for the NHS and for Mind. People were bloody brilliant. And yeah, I mean, like, there were 42 acts. Sophie was one of them who came and helped out. You guys came in and I saw you in the chat and it was just brilliant. Lot of really kind fucking people, raising money for people who actually need it, who are doing really valuable fucking work. And, I stood around and I shouted. It was fun.
Well, good for you, John, and
Thanks,
I'm glad you're able to draw attention to that on this tonight as well. Well, look, we're gonna have another act. I don't know if you're going to stick around because we'll all say cheerio at the end. But so you've got your own Twitch channel.
I do. I'm at Twitch. Oh, thank you very much. I'm at twitch.tv/Robertson. Next show is tomorrow night, which is RPG, which is the interactive RPG that the audience are the party and I'm the dungeon master. And it's fun. It's fun. I might have to go though, my love. So I know who's coming up next though. Is it Josie?
Yeah.
Okay, folks, coming up in a minute is a fucking tremendous act, one of my faves, and it's a real bummer to actually have to run off because I got to go to another show. I'm sorry, but yeah, kick ass.
Well, John Robertson, thank you very much.
Thank you, my love.
We'll see you again.
Of course.
Well, that was the amazing John Robertson, and we have 2 more acts to come. So thank you for still being with us. I have to point in the direction of the PayPal thing, which is a thing you can do to stop us starving to death. It gets divided between the acts, and is your entry fee for tonight. Marmalade Fandango has sent a message saying, I have an actual pint of Stella in front of me in a 2011 Didsbury Beer Festival pint glass. I didn't know there was a 2011 Didsbury Beer Festival, but I do like the name Marmalade Fandango, and I hope it's a real one. I can see the 2 acts we've got coming up ahead of me. Now, the next act has probably forgotten this fact, but my first Edinburgh show was the year that this act, I think, won a fantastic award. And the first day I was there at Edinburgh, I bumped into her at the stand, and I actually coloured in some of the figures at the back of her set. Do you remember you had a set that was lots of drawings, and I coloured in? So I like to think I'm partially responsible for the award-winning show, even if it's only a yellow jumper here and some green trousers there that stayed within the lines. Never have my felt tips been put to such good use. It's a delight. She has always been a great supporter of this club. She first came, I think, when she was supporting Stuart Lee. Stuart Lee's played Excess Malarkey, Toby. Yes, he has. Well, when? Because I go and see him now. He plays those huge, big places. Well, he was deliberately doing comedy in not huge, big places in order to support sort of independent comedy clubs because he likes that kind of vibe. Oh, I wish I'd come then. Yes, well, that's why you should come to places like Excess Malarkey. Oh, I wonder why you said that, Toby. I can't think. I'm waving to John now. But she's gone on to do brilliant things in the comedy world and has been a great supporter of our club by coming to do it, and I know vocally to other people. So it's really kind of her to come and join us. I'm very excited to see her in action. Ladies and gentlemen, please stamp your feet, clap your hands, and give a big warm welcome. It's Josie Long!
Life is so hard. And it's so long. That's if you're lucky. And we're hurtling towards climate breakdown. We're in the middle of a fucking pandemic and the government is doing less than fuck all about it. So welcome. Welcome to the end of the world. That's the first thing I said to my daughter when she was born. Hello, my name is Josie Long, and sleeping is my most favourite thing. It's true, but stand-up's number 2, and this song is too high for my range. But still, I'm going to keep on. Anyway, that's enough of that. Hello, I just started like that because I thought, listen, how better to start a stand-up set than by proving that anyone can sing beautifully. It's not a skill. In the same way that telling jokes is a difficult and complicated skill, anyone can sing. I'm not trained. I didn't even practice, and it's that good every time. It's really nice to be here. These things are so weird. I've worked out why YouTubers are all so angry and toxic is because they don't realise that this is only about 10% of the hit of performing on stage. I swear to God, if all those fucking YouTubers got on stages, there'd be no more of that nonsense. It's I miss being on stage. My name is Josie Long. I'm not reading the chat, not out of any kind of statement, just because I don't know how to have 2 windows up at once. I am a mother of 1 and lots of fun. I am a stand-up comedian by day, which is the wrong time. Supposed to do it at night, but I'm not doing it at night. I've got my own window cleaning business at night. I'm not giving that up. To be honest, it's not doing well. No one wants their windows done at night, but it's very hard to set up a shop on a website. I show up at people's houses, you know. They're like, go away. I'm like, no, we're sleeping. I don't care. I'm doing the whole house. We'll call the police. You call the police. I'll do their windows and all. So I should say, not a word of that is true. Not a word. I was thinking about it. I have never cleaned the outside of a window. I'm a tenant. It's not my purview. You go along with that? Fuck you, landlord. I hope you starve. Anyway, it's nice to be here. Sometimes you really got to set your stall out early on in the game. I didn't start timing this, but I'm presuming I've done 3 minutes. That's what I'm going to assess. Oh, sorry. Sorry about Oh, my God. What is... Oh, my God. Sorry about that. Oh, Jesus. Been feeling strange all day and just start coughing. I love doing stuff online, but I fear the internet because I hate and fear the internet because of how it is abusing me over my life. And I also fear the internet because of the ridiculous faux culture wars we have where outrage is created whenever somebody says something that can be deliberately taken away and misinterpreted. And I was worried about that, but I do have things that I want to say about the here and now. But luckily for me, one of my friends is isolating with me. And I was talking to her about it, and she was like, do you know what? I'm not afraid to speak my mind. I'll say anything. And I was like, fine. So this is Paulette the Risque Giraffe. Paulette, what do you want to say? I'm really glad that Boris Johnson's got well. I've also just realised that literally the funniest and best puppet in the world is on after me. So I really have not thought this through. And also, not anyone could do puppetry. It's a skill. But luckily, this isn't, as I say, a puppet. This is my friend, Paulette the Risque Giraffe. What did you want to say, Paulette? I wanted to say, I'm really glad that Boris Johnson has got better because now we can all go back to wanting him to fuck off and die. Thanks, Paulette. Really appreciate the chat. Paulette, how are you feeling about the Labour Party today? Not great. I think the Labour Party has revealed itself to be a multi-level marketing scam where centrists con socialists into funding them so that they can send racist WhatsApp messages to one another and get the Conservatives into power. Well, it wasn't so much a joke, more a little bit of polemic, but I really appreciate your help, Paulette. It's my pleasure. Don't be a grass unless it's Times journalists. Okay, so there we go. That's all I wanted to say to that. I have been finding it really, really hard to write material under these circumstances. And I worry about people who can. I really do. Like when I see people who are like, so far, this pandemic, I've done this, this, and this. I'm like, you are a monster who cannot feel for other people. Like, who is thriving? If you are thriving, you are not paying attention. Stop thriving, you monsters. Be stultified by terror and sadness, like the rest of us human beings. I know, but that having been said, I was thinking, like, how could I write some material under these circumstances? Because what I often like to do when I'm writing material is think about what I think about the world and what's going to happen and try and draw some conclusions and share that with people. Like, if I feel a bit of hope, for example, if I were to have trusted the Labour Party, ridiculous. Also, I'm referring to a report that was leaked, which you should all read, even though it's 130 pages long, and you should not listen to the people in the party who are pretending it's not in existence. Oh, sorry. Oh. Oh my God. Anyway, so I was thinking, how do I come up with material about this? And I luckily was able to travel to 2022 in a time machine. Now, before you say, why didn't you kill Hitler? My time machine only goes forwards. And it goes forwards in the way that when you want to listen to a podcast quickly, it sort of is like, so it took me 5 years to get to 2022. And then I only got back because someone else with a better time machine knocked me back because I stopped them from killing a baby that they said was going to be difficult 40 years down the line. But I was like, I'm a mother, I can't let this happen. So I got to 2022 and I thought I'd tell you some stand-up from the future because then at least it feels a bit more certain. So this is from where I was in 2022. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, it's lovely to be in Manchester again. What a great city. I got off my horse. By the way, in 2022, the only transport is horses because they're the only things that are immune to coronavirus. Cars, get it? Twist. And so, yeah. I arrived in Manchester on my horse after a quick 5-day canter. We know what that's like. Only to find the leather pouch that contained my Huel was missing. Oh, in the future, the only thing you can eat is Huel. Can you? Huel. Oh, and it's a new flavour. Dirty mushroom. Only to find that the leather pouch in which I keep my Huel had fallen off. Somewhere, I assume, in the Midlands. That's funny because in 2021, in the Midlands, there was like a big Huel crisis. Midland 2022, they love it. I paused for a second to clap for the Prime Minister, Donald Trump. What? Sorry, guys. I can't change the future. Just reporting on it. And that's the end of that. That's all the ideas I had for that bit. Gosh. I don't have much else. Oh, this is the last thing I wanted to do, I think. I'll tell you a cute thing, and then I'll do one more thing, and then I'll go. So, my daughter is wonderful, and being in lockdown with a 2-year-old is materially difficult, but emotionally easy, and I understand that, but it's materially difficult, and I just want to fucking sleep. Just once. Why does she not sleep till after 7 a.m. ever? What the fuck is wrong with her? Anyway, I'm in lockdown with the 2-year-old, and I love it. I love her. She's wonderful. And she does really cute stuff every day. Like the other day, we got junk mail from Deliveroo. And she was so excited that the post box opened. She ran up and she got it. And she ran back from me and she went, "A letter from Pizza." I was like, yeah, I guess it is. Pizza's got a lot to say to us. So the thing I'm going to close my set with, and I would like to be a little bit serious. Like, I feel very despondent at the moment about politics. I think the we had better things going on, and that's over, and we're in this really sad time, and we have a government that's completely unreliable and that is propagandizing to this like horrific nationalistic extent whilst letting people kind of struggle. But I do think that when people talk about the Blitz, it kind of gets my back up a bit, because I sort of think this isn't a war and this is something that we could have prepared for better and stuff. But what I do think is, when people think about the Blitz, they're thinking about the resilience of people, and they're thinking about people's kind of incredible spirits and stuff like that. And I think it reminded me that 15 years ago, in fact, I made a radio documentary where I went around the country speaking to people who'd actually survived the Blitz. And so it's not strictly speaking comedy, but I think it is very funny. And I just really, really love it. And I thought it might be something that might make people feel a bit of kind of support in these times, to hear from those people, many of whom have since passed on. And so I thought I would play this documentary. I hope it's okay. I have to play it via my phone. I'm Josie Long, and you're listening to Recordings of the Blitz.
Ah, yes. I remember the Blitz. It was a Tuesday. Oh, yes. Well, of course, sometimes in a blackout, what I would do is I'd kick someone in the leg. The lights come back on. I'd say, Hitler done it. Oh, sometimes, of course, you'd run out of powdered egg. What I would do is I'd use a real egg, a grind it up into a fine powder. Hope no one would notice.
So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for listening. I've really enjoyed doing this. Thank you. It's given me an excuse to try and write a set from 2022, so that was useful. Hi Toby, how you doing?
Hey, Josie Long.
Thank
you, Josie. Long time no see. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I really, really am feeling that I cannot complain, which is so nice and important. Like we're getting the hang of doing the same thing every day and doing all of our parenting, but with none of the helpful stuff. So yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, all right, thanks. Well, I think we freelancers are in a position where we're used to uncertainty and having no money, so we were made for this, weren't we?
Yes.
And
Yes. Well, I was saying to a friend of mine, I was like, well, like it's fine for now, but I'm really worried that over the next few years, no one will employ me. My friend was like, everyone has that worry now, and I was like, great, we're all together.
Yeah. And also, I don't know. I think as comics, I always feel much more relaxed if I go onto a room that looks like it's going to be awful, because then you go, well, if I emerge with anything, it's an achievement. Whereas a room that's kind of on the edge or it's nice, there's always the chance that it's you that's going to ruin it or screw it up. So I always think that we're slightly better we respond better to a crisis because we sort of relax and go, oh, well, we'll be fine, than we do to actual. Whereas, a bus journey or an unfamiliar phone call, and I go to pieces.
Yes, truly, actually, yes. I'm ready. And also, I am so good. What I have learned about this sort of thing, I am so good in the first couple of days of a crisis. So, like, whenever the Conservatives get elected, for the first 2 days, I'm like, don't worry, guys, we're going to do this and we'll be all right. And then on that day 3, I'm like, whoa. And this happened with me with this. Like, on about day 1 and 2 of the lockdown, I made us a timetable. I made us charts. I made plans for what to do with my daughter. And then it got to about day 4, and I was like, forget everyone. So, yeah.
Now, interesting. You mentioned the election. Yeah, I'm trying to think back to when I first saw you, and it's interesting. But you managed to mix this sort of. You've always been this sort of lovable, imaginative, whimsical comic, but you've come you're a very articulate, political, principled, and sort of quite fiery politically. I don't recall you being like that at the start, or have I misremembered that?
But we were under a Labour government, and I was notionally complacent about it. Like, I knew that, like, especially now when I read this thread on Twitter that was like a long list of all the stuff that of just not even all the stuff actually, of a number of things that New Labour did that I was like, wow, this is so bad. But I was just very complacent, and I was young, and I was sort of trying to just set out my stall. But I was really, really sort of deeply and profoundly affected when the government changed in 2010, and I saw it on the horizon in 2009, and I was really, really frightened because I really did feel that once they got in, we wouldn't be able to get them out again for a very long time. But luckily I was wrong, so it's really good to know. No, I'm kidding, obviously. But like yeah, it was a really unusual thing to happen. Like, I think I'm somebody who's only really able to do whatever feels kind of impulsively the thing to do. I think I just have this thing, so I'm not very good at imagining what somebody might want of me. I'm only really good at giving what I've got. And so basically I wrote shows about what I found important or what I was going through. And initially that would be kind of about craft or DIY or little things, or about kind of politics with a really small p. But then when it got to 2010, I sort of had to write this show about kind of having a bit of a political awakening about the fact that I didn't really do anything and that I wanted to start. And yeah, and then I was really, really hoping that in 2015 we would elect a Labour government and I could go back to just chilling out and writing shows about puppies and stuff.
Can comedy? Do you think comedy can help to change the political landscape?
Not mine, evidently, eh? Yes and no. I mean, everything you add to culture and the discourse, everything you put out there has its splintering effects and influences. So in that respect, I think, like, people see your stuff, they go on to be inspired by things. Different people go into different things. You don't know who you can inspire or what you will might change. I like to think that I did a gig with my friend Grace, who's a political songwriter, and we did it, and Billy Bragg was there because it was like in his town. He lives like somewhere in Dorset or Devon or somewhere. Sorry, I always get them confused. And after Devon, it was Devon. So afterwards, he said to, we were like, he sort of went to us, listen, you're not going to change the world. You're going to reflect the world. You're not going to change the world. And me and Grace were like, fuck you, Granddad. We're going to change the world. And like, you do and you don't. Like, the 27, like, had we not been sabotaged from within our party, we might have won it. Really, really changed all of our lives for the better, forever. Like, I sort of feel like you got to be in it to win it. You are who you are. And also for me, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to segue easily into a career in wealth management or hosting the Royal Variety Performance. So,
oh, that I'd like to see.
Good evening, Mum. May you be deposed.
And on a rather sad note, it's interesting because you mentioned internet discourse, which is a big aspect of our times that I don't think we've properly assimilated yet. And I find it makes a coward of me. I'll barely put on a controversial opinion about Doctor Who on Twitter, let alone anything else. But you sort of suggest the fact that you get stick from people.
Well, I got stick from the second I arrived, basically. There was a comedy forum that was obsessed with me when I was 24 years old and used to write the most disgusting, gross stuff about me. And then some of the most obsessive people on that set up a hate site about me where, again, they wrote violent, gross, disgusting shit about me. Then, like, 2010, 2011, loads of weird stuff started happening on Twitter. Then Gamergate meant that loads of weird people joined in on me. Then I made a video which was like sympathetic to the Muslim victims of far-right terrorism. It was a little bit like clunkily handled, but like it basically was that. And then that brought the classical liberals of YouTube onto me. And so basically I've never really known a time since I was 24 that I haven't had people disproportionately being very badly behaved to me in a manner that, were it in person, would be shocking and horrific. And so it definitely did and has affected me. But at the same time, like, I don't want to sound like I get it worse. Like, people get it just for existing on this earth. And like, on every social media platform, like, people get it because they're made targets by what they are, not who they are. And like, it's fucking bullshit. But what's nice is I did some shows, like, within my bubble. I find it beautifully curated, and the people that I love to talk to and have met online, and the things that I do like this. I mean, I'm not reading the comments now, but I'm presuming everyone's all right and pretty sound. And if not, like, oh no, like, but on the whole, you do sort of grow up with that experience. And on top of that, like, it sort of makes you quite bulletproof in a way, like, especially since I've had my daughter. And especially now that I feel like, right, so kind of to be a socialist is to be like vilified and bullied by the whole political establishment. Like, I'm a little bit like, what can you do to me? Especially now, we're all trapped in our houses. The Daily Mail can't even doorstep you. It's the prime time to have controversial opinions. They can't do nothing about it.
Well, keep at it. So what are you going to do for lockdown in terms of creativity? Josie, where can people find what you're doing?
Oh, well, actually, thank you. I am streaming my show that I was touring on Twitch. My Twitch is Josie_Long, and I'm streaming it tomorrow at midday till 12 till 2. Then I'm streaming it 8 till 10 p.m. as well. Do the show twice tomorrow. And I'm doing it on Sunday night at 9 p.m. On top of that, I do every weekday with Robin Ince, who I've been podcasting with for a long time. We do a kind of variety chat show where we do a variety chat show where we have just interesting guests and performers and musicians and stuff. And that's 10 till 11. And that's as part of the Cosmic Shambles Stay at Home Festival, which is cosmicshambles.com/stay at home. So I'm mainly filling up my time with that and childcare. If anyone wants to come and watch through my window, they can see me do childcare all day, every fucking day, if that's any good. Sorry to swear so much.
Well, no, bless you. I saw you swear in a church once. It was a Robin Ince gig of some sort. We were in a church, and I was going, "Oh, how do I get around the fact that we're in a church? Because you have to watch your language." And you went, "Oh, I'm in a fucking church."
It's a
anyway,
thing. I love to swear.
Well,
like, my daughter, twice today, my daughter's done something, and me or my partner have gone, "Oh shit," and she's gone, "Oh shit," and I'm like, "No."
When my son is very old now and is legally allowed to swear, but I remember one time I was working on the computer upstairs of the old house, and the bathroom, the loo was opposite, and I just heard the words, "Oh, someone's used all the fucking hand wash," in exactly the way that I would have said that, and I just went, "Louis," and his face came out, and the look said, "I know I've just sworn, but you also know that the only reason I've sworn is because that's exactly what you would have said under these circumstances. So I know you can't tell me off."
Checkmate.
Well, look, Josie, thank you very much for joining us. More power to your elbow and all of your joints. And thank you so much for being a support to Excess Malarkey over the years.
Are you kidding? Thank you so much for still having me. Now I'm an old crone.
Oh well, they can't. When they start killing off the old at Excess Malarkey, I will be the first to go. So you'll only be dragged out over my corpse. So Josie Long, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, Josie Long, everybody. Hooray! And I only have time for one more question. And I've been to the other room in the house, Josie. They loved you in our house. There's people in our house watching. It's going down very well, Shay Hadoke at Hadoke Towers. I missed a question from, and this was a handle that confused me because it's NDRW, and whenever I see DRW, it's like Doctor Who. Is this a Doctor Who thing? It's Andrew Taylor with all the vowels removed. Hello, Andrew Taylor. See what you've done there, but if that's your code, I'm afraid it's going to be cracked. Have the youth stopped gathering near Toby's house since lockdown? Because what happened to Excess Malarkey is because I'm on every week, I just largely go on and tell them what's happened this week. And there was an altercation with some youths a year or so ago that I made hilarious comment mileage out of, having spent the day dying inside my every word and action. Yes, the coronavirus. Well, I might not even be in Hadoke Towers. I might be in my underground lair. No, I'm at Hadoke Towers. Yet no youths, so we're doing okay. So out of something evil must come something good. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more act this evening. This act made its debut at Excess Malarkey not that long ago. I was amazed that we were granted a visit, and then so thrilled that this act has turned out to be a great friend of the club. Ladies and gentlemen, the last act of tonight's Excess Malarkey. Please welcome him into your homes. It's the one and only Randy!
Hello, Manchester. Hello, Internet. Can you see me? I don't know if you can see me. I'm assuming it's working. This is so exciting. I've had a wonderful time tonight watching the show. It's been excellent. I do have a little feed going, so maybe I'll respond to some comments. Woo, Randy, clap, clap, yes. Hello from Mexico. What's up, Mexico? I'm just going to do 15 minutes of crowd work. Whoop, g'day. Thank you. It's wonderful. It's been such a good show. Some of my personal highlights, Sophie explaining to Toby what a boomer is was delightful. That was magical. Also, you just Toby hinted to his son being quite prophetic in using the term someone used all the fucking hand wash. That is just getting cried around the globe. That term is reverberating at the moment. But I think, look, I don't want to best on ground or what's the award that you give to people who are good at soccer? I don't know. But I think Paulette the Risque Giraffe was definitely, without exception. If Josie's still there, I haven't seen Josie in real life for years. I wish to give you a hug via the internet. Nyang, 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 nyang. Nyang, nyang. Hi, Josie, you bloody champion. Anyway, I'm not in your country. I'm in Australia, and comparatively, Australia's doing quite well. I mean, I don't know. The last virus to hit here was the British, so we were kind of ready for this one. But being in lockdown, I'm actually not doing too bad in lockdown. There's no real significant differences to how I normally live. You know, I work wherever I happen to be at the time. I really only talk to my friends and family on the phone anyway. If you remove like live performance and the pursuit of fucking strangers, I reckon I could go maybe like 5 years without talking to anyone. Nobody's keeping track of my movements. You know, nobody's policing my decision making as it is. I haven't had stability in years. It took an apocalypse for me to take a shit in the same toilet for more than 3 days in a row. And I know I could have come up with a better example to illustrate my current situation than shitting in a toilet. I am so sorry, Excess Malarkey, but it is 6:40 a.m. where I am. So please forgive me if I both literally and figuratively phone this shit in. In the words of Josie Long, it is the wrong time for comedy. Sunrise. I just watched the during Josie set. Look, there's the sunrise. The sun has risen. It's beautiful, actually. But I watched the sunrise. Oh, fuck, now I fucked the curtain. I watched the sunrise during Josie's set, and it reminded me I did one gig once during a comedy festival where the city decided it would be a great idea to have pop-up comedy shows on public transport, like first thing in the morning, to entertain people on their way to work, like just as they're fucking easing into their first coffee for the day. It was terrible. It was a terrible idea. There was me. Did you do this, Josie? There was me. Oh, you did this? Which country?
In Australia. I died so hard.
Oh, it's fucked.
And I was trapped on a tram.
Yes. What? How early in the morning was it?
It was like 8 a.m., but a police officer came. It was really full on. Sorry,
oh, shit.
Yours. I want to know about
this is wonderful because you're backing this up. What happened to me was there was me and an MC. The MC did 5 minutes. made a woman cry, and then brought me on, brought me straight on. And then I reckon I did about 3 minutes before a businessman tried to stab me with his umbrella. It was fucked. People were furious. No one wants comedy on a tram. And they didn't do any more of those gigs. I think I did the last one because of the stabbing incident. And I didn't get paid. I got paid with a bear claw. I'd never had a bear claw before. If you don't know what a bear claw is, it's like a pastry. It's like a Danish filled with almond paste. So good. I haven't had one since, but I still think about that bear claw. The bear claw is the reason that gig is my best and worst gig of all time. Anyway, that was a little aside. Let's do some comedy. Hey, how you going? I'm 39. I'm single, no children. I'm currently staying in an abandoned family home in the countryside, officially of no fixed address. Total independence, complete autonomy, which means anytime you can't see me, I am probably doing something deplorable, not John Robertson stigmata masturbation level of deplorable. But, if you make it to my age with no one around to witness your behavior on a daily basis, you either master the art of self-discipline or run a severe risk of turning into a real piece of shit behind closed doors. And there's a lot of people, I think, globally suddenly having this realization for the first time, finding themselves inexplicably caged in confined spaces with zero accountability. We all know someone who'd already crossed the line well before COVID-19. Everyone's got one of these friends, dead houseplants, drinking wine out of a bowl, sleeping in a nest of Uber Eats bags, watching Netflix on someone else's account, vaping, commenting on YouTube videos, 7 years into a 3-year degree, no money for rent, but still somehow manages to afford a new tattoo every fortnight. These people are now the norm. We are all this person. Not just baristas anymore. It's all of us. Show some respect. But I'm single. I like being single. It's not great I wouldn't mind isolating with someone that I could touch on the face and or earlobe. That would be really great. But I don't know. Being single has a lot of perks, I never have to call anybody from the supermarket and be like, they don't have the one with the blue label. I don't know. And that's pretty much it. That is the only perk. Just that and a total absence of responsibility for the emotional security of another human being at the expense of my own true happiness. Aww. Oh, but Randy's got no one to watch Tiger King with. I don't know. I'm at that age now where I've started using phrases like I'm at that age now. And I'm also at that age now where I'm comfortable being alone for long periods of time. Listen to my morning voice. Excuse me, it's very rude to cough on the internet. I'm happy being alone for long periods of time. I'm a bit envious of all these people that are isolating with pets, though. I want a dog, like a fully grown, fully trained, proper, chilled out, good dog, like useful, like a dog you could train to run out to the back shed and load a shotgun while you distract the intruder. Like a useful dog. I don't want like a little yappy, shaky, separation anxiety rat that will just get taken by a hawk the moment it leaves the house. I want like a good dog sharpener. I don't want a cat. That was a callback to very early when I woke up at 5 a.m. Dog sharpener. That was my alarm this morning. Andrew just sharpening dogs. I don't want a cat. Fuck cats. I'm sorry. Before all the cat people start coming on and freaking out. Oh, someone's just done a whole lot of cat emojis. Sorry, I don't like cats. I mean, I like cats. I do. I have a begrudging respect for cats. I really like them. But I'm allergic to them. So if I got a cat, I'd have to keep it in a plastic bag or something. I don't think they're really into that. They don't like that. I didn't know I was allergic to them until recently. I was staying at a friend's house and they had a cat And I slept on the couch, and the cat slept on my face, as they do. And when I woke up, I was all itchy and sneezy and freaking out. So I went to the pharmacy to get some poison to kill the cat, and they didn't have any cat poison. I think everybody had been panic buying it and hoarding cat. There's a dog. I just saw a dog in the back of Toby's shot. You can't see that at home, but Toby's holding it. Can they see that? They can't see that, can they? This is a show just for me. Sucked in, internet. I'm getting a private show. I can see Toby's doing. Don't do that to the dog. Anyway, why am I doing cat material? I don't know. I'm going insane. I've been knitting my own sourdough. You know what I mean? I'm at that stage. I'm losing it. I think it's just everyone's like, oh, it's just an opportunity to do all the things that you've never done, to do all the experiment, just try out different things. I actually think we should take that like no one's watching, right? Like do whatever you want, not in a fucked up way, but like philosophically or maybe religiously. Like if you're a devout Christian, just while you're in isolation, just try Islam. Just give it a shot. No one will know. I was raised Catholic, so I don't have faith. I've got a lot of guilt. But since I've been in isolation, I'm just giving Buddhism a shot, giving it a real. I am committed too, super committed. Like I've been meditating every day. I've got a daily gratitude practice. I went to Myanmar and slaughtered thousands of Muslims. Just trying to be a good Buddhist. Oh, no, okay, that one didn't land. Anyway, I don't know. It's getting tense. I just realized I put that on the internet forever. It's getting tense out there. The only interaction I've had with another person, I feel like I've already done 46 minutes. I might bounce around a bit. My only interaction that I have had with another human being was quite full on. I was in the car park of a supermarket, which is where all good stories begin, and I was walking out with my shopping and my gloves and my mask on, and as I was crossing the car park, it was quite full. There was like 2 remaining parking spaces in the whole, one remaining car park and like 2 cars converging on the same one remaining car space, which is a real human nature documentary moment. You really get to see how these primates behave in the wild in a situation like that. And there were one was like a big kind of people mover 4-wheel drive SUV. I don't know what you guys call them in the UK. What are the big ones called? Anyway, it's like a big, 10-seater thing. And then there was like a little sedan. And I was still a few meters away. But as they both converged on the same space, I could clearly hear the woman in the larger car just unleash an astonishingly creative tirade of racial abuse at the woman in the other car. I couldn't hear what she said, but one phrase, I'm not going to repeat it anyway, but one phrase that stood out to me was, not even your fucking country. Like somehow insinuating that if you're born here, you're automatically allocated priority parking spaces. It's like, okay, there's your chips, there's your NHS, and here's your white nationalist parmic permit. Have fun out there, have fun. And yes, I did say parmic permit instead of parking permit, but again, 6:52 a.m. 6:52 in the morning. Anyway, so the woman in the smaller car, she backed out. She drove away in fear or disgust. I didn't see her face. But the woman in the larger car, she got out of the car and she started unloading her children from the back seat. And I was like, I just had that, I'm going to fucking say something. And I just got this, that self-righteous started bubbling up. And I was like, I'm going to give her a piece of my mind. So I marched over there and I tapped her on the shoulder. And I said, excuse me. I didn't give a fuck about social distancing at this point. Like, excuse me. And she turned around and it was just immediately apparent that she was having a really, really shitty morning. She was on the verge of tears. She was shaking. Her children were half dressed. They were clearly running late for something. It's a stressful time. And I was like, I don't know this woman's backstory. I don't know what she's here. We're supposed to be moving towards this concept of collectivism, not individualism in a situation like this. Collective belief's the only way to get through these scenarios. You know what I mean? This fucking massive global unrest, the anticipatory grief of it all, this shit that we're all experiencing as a species. You know what I mean? And I've just gone, excuse me. Anyway, she turned around and she looked at me, and all this rage that had been building up in me just fizzled out as it got to my mouth, and it just came out as, "Are you okay?" And she looked at me, and her shoulders dropped, and she just said, "Fuck off!" So I took her advice because it was excellent advice, and I fucked right off. But as I was fucking off, I looked back and I locked eyes with her son. He was like maybe 4 or 5 years old. You know, when kids are too young to express what they're thinking and what they're feeling, but you can just read it on their face, and it speaks volumes. You know, it's burned in my memory. I looked at him and he just had this expression like, I'm sorry about my mum. You know, she's not a bad person. She's just going through a really shitty time, and I don't know how to fix it. And I think I'm part of the problem somehow. But please don't be mean to my mum. You know what I mean? And the most heartbreaking thing about it was he had this little yellow T-shirt on like this, but it had blue writing on it that said, "Sharing is caring." And I was like, "Oh, mate, I hope you take your life lessons from your clothing and not your mother." And that's the strangest thing that's happened to me since this thing kicked off. I feel like I may have done my time. The most anticlimactic way to finish is a comedian going, "That's it. I feel like I've done my time." Toby's looking at me like, "No, you haven't," but I have. I looked at the clock when I started. What do you think?
Yeah, well,
Let's wrap it up.
round of applause for Randy.
Oh my God! Round of applause from the sunrise. Sunrise.
And we're
Oh my
all,
God, it's beautiful.
I think we're all going to see now, so the others might join in. But thank you for that. And Randy, you need to explain something to me first and foremost. Does that mean it's
Generation X means that you were born in the 80s?
No.
I am not.
What? Generation X has been born up till 1980.
Up till 1980, and including, and then X, and then Y is after Y starts at 81, right?
Right.
Well, I call them millennials. I guess is that Generation Y?
No, I think millennials came after Y.
Millennial.
I'm a millennial, but I'm like the oldest millennial that they can.
I thought a millennial was somebody who was born in the millennium. Oh God, I'm not.
No, it was people who were coming of age in the millennium. So I was 18 at the time of the millennium. So I'm like the oldest possible millennial.
And I'm sorry, Generation X is anyone prior to 1980/81. I don't care whether it's 80 or 81. I mean, I'm worried about the everybody prior to that. I'm the same generation as Christopher Columbus.
Yes.
No, but there's boomers, right? Boomers were before baby boomers.
The greatest generation, that's the generation before them. Which I think if you're going to start naming the generations and be like, okay, we're the greatest, that is so good. Right.
Well, this is
that speaks of who started naming the. History is told by the winners, really, isn't it? I'd start with that. I'm going to go the shittest. We are the shittest generation.
But do you know what? If they said they were the shittest generation, then if they did achieve a lot, all future generations would be like, oh my God, we can't even get as good.
This is the next generation.
The bar is so high.
That wasn't actually what I was going to ask you to clear up, but thanks for doing so. I was going to with this time difference. Does that mean you are in tomorrow, or you're in a very, very early version of today?
No, I'm in tomorrow because it's still yesterday there. So that means that I'm in the future. So we found the cure. We found we've already found the vaccine, and it's all sunshine. So everything's going to be fine.
Oh well, good. I'm glad. Thank you for giving us that snippet of hope.
Thank you thank you for letting me ramble for 15 minutes on the internet.
No, thank you for doing it. When now? Because you gig all over the world, and we were so grateful that you came to visit us when you were in the UK last year. Do you have to change your material at all between the different places that you play, or do you find that? Yeah.
No, yeah, you change it. I mean, I think I write more universally now than I used to, and sometimes I still do. You just have to change words, really. If I kind of try to write stuff that's not too Oz centric, but yeah, you have to change words, and I try to get a little bit of local material in there whenever I do a show. Ingratiate myself to the locals, find out what the Shelbyville is of that town, and hang shit on them, or I can't remember what I talked about in Manchester. I liked it. That was a great gig. I've only done Excess Malarkey once, and fuck, that was so much fun.
It was
I strolled out into the night air with my ironing board, feeling very good about the world.
It was.
Hey, I haven't met. Hello, Sophie. We've never met.
Hi, lovely to meet you.
So nice to meet you too. I really enjoyed your set. That was super cool.
Thank you. Ditto. I'm very excited to meet a genuine time traveler.
Whoa.
But you are traveling through time. Yeah.
I am hurtling through space on a rock in infinite nothingness, ever expanding. Let's have an existential crisis.
Too real.
Have you got any visits to the UK planned, or have any been scuppered by this? What was your time?
I had some planned. I was going to go to London, and then I was going to do a month in Edinburgh, which I'm sure I'm not alone in speaking about that with the present company. But yeah, that was a bit of a fuck up. Actually, Edinburgh getting cancelled was kind of like a real, like I'd kind of rolled through about 4 other festival cancellations going, oh, this is all right. Melbourne got cancelled. All the Australian ones got cancelled. I was like, this is okay. But when Edinburgh went, I was like, oh, I haven't been for 4 years. I was jonesing.
About Melbourne. I was so
really?
excited. And I keep lying down as I go off to sleep. I keep imaginarily walking down roads in the city, and it's breaking my heart. Like looking at all the shops in my head.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yes. Can I ask you a question, which is, I don't even know whether anyone else, and it might be wasting everyone else's time, but you did that TV show which has got Keenan from Keenan and Kel on it. And he's like one of my favourites on SNL, and I love him so much. And was he really nice in real life?
Oh, he's a beautiful dude. Yeah. Keenan was a wonderful chap. I didn't really we didn't hang out and go for beers or whatever, but yeah, he's super nice. He's a really cool guy.
Good.
Yeah.
That was when I did it about famous people. I'm like, are they nice?
Are they nice? I don't know if I've met any mean ones.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who were the mean ones?
Who are the mean ones, Josie?
I'm not saying that on the internet. What do you think I am, an idiot?
No, Josie, this is just the classic backstage talk. This is what all comics do backstage. We debrief about the gig. We shit on famous people.
No,
what?
she's not biting. She's not biting. She's keeping her counsel. So, Randy, what are you doing?
I'll tell you who's a cunt. No.
Oh, Paulette.
She's single.
So, before you get fixed up with Paulette, what are you going to do on the internet then that people can come and see?
Ooh, well, I'm doing a couple of gigs around the place. Any gigs I do, I'll just mention on my Instagram at Randy Feltface. I'm doing a gig in Los Angeles on the weekend, which will be fun. I'm popping up on a few weird things. I said no to a whole lot of them because I was like, I don't want just because now we're in isolation, I don't want to have to do comedy on the internet. Fuck that. Fuck it. And then 2 weeks in, I was like, maybe I should do some stuff. So now I'm doing things. But you know what I have done? I've dug into the vaults, the Feltface vaults, and I found an old special. We just call them specials now, don't we? Isn't that fucked? I did a show in 2013 called The Last Temptation of Randy, which is one of my favorite shows I've done. I had a musician, and there was like a couch and a boat. It was a really fun show. I only ever did it in Australia. I only did like 2 or 3 seasons here in 2013, and then just got put in a box. And I found a video of it, so I'm releasing that on Friday on the internet. I don't know what I'm going to charge for it, maybe some money. So that'll be available from my website or from my Instagram and socials, Facebook, whatever the fuck. I'm not on Twitch. This is my first Twitch experience. It's so fucking cool. I'm twitching. And apart from that, I've got another special that I might release, and I'm going to start doing a cool thing on Patreon soon, because, fucking why not? Why not?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us. We're very grateful, because it's hard. Oh, that's beautiful.
I started singing the theme music from Mr. Bean. I don't know why I did that.
It's the beauty of live comedy. That's all we can say.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. And good luck with the rest of the lockdown. Obviously, you'll be out of it sooner than we are, simply by being in the future.
Just by virtue of my time travel, yeah. Well, look, take care over there, and I hope everybody's safe and well and looking after each other. And, I did mention that idea of collectivism. This is part of that, and I feel very connected to you all right now. So thanks so much for having me on. It's been an absolute fucking delight.
Well, thank you. And Sophie and Josie are still here as well. So next, we're doing this again. We're doing this every Tuesday. We're also doing Excess Malarkey, where we take a couple of past performances from Excess Malarkey and play them, and we'll have people on reacting to them and stuff. And we do that every Sunday at 8 o'clock. And we're going to be putting some other stuff out as well, because running a comedy club is very hard, especially when you can't let people through the doors of it. So we're putting this on to keep the excess flame alive, and we can only do that thanks to the generosity of some lovely comics who have played for us in the past, who decided to come and support us on cyberspace. 3 of those were Josie Long and Randy and Sophie Duker. We also had John Robertson, who's gone to sleep, and Andrew O'Neill, who has to apologise to his niece for saying the F and the C word in front of her, and for exposing her lack of shoes to the entirety of cyberspace. Excess Malarkey is back on Sunday at 8 p.m. at Excess Malarkey. We're also back next week on Tuesday. We will put on the lineup on Twitter and on Facebook and on Instagram and on all sorts of... And what? Ed Gamble is on. Ed Gamble! So we're keeping the quality pretty blooming high. So please do check it out and spread the word about us if you can. We have a very simple philosophy, which is to charge as little money as possible to put on the best comics that we possibly can. And we've been doing that for 23 years, and we'd like to continue so to do. Thanks very much for tuning in. We're gonna go away now, I think, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Toby Hadoke. Thank you very much, and good night.
Toby Hadoke, ladies and gentlemen, yeah!